All right, so for typography tips, what you want to do is have things kind of left aligned to increase legibility. You'll see here that everything's left aligned. You don't have to hop from left to right, right to left. And it makes it really hard to digest information when things are kind of scattered like this right here. Or if it's right aligned, not, and this isn't really like that helpful. For me, I usually prefer left or center. Left aligned really helps out with ads, and really that you can see that it either aligns it to left, aligns it to the right here, right, automatically. So they're aware of the design principles and they put that in the AI. So it really helps you out. So again, if you have text, make sure it's left aligned. It's a lot easier to adjust information. It's a lot easier to read versus having it centered, right, or justified. It's really hard to read when it like this, right? Again, you only have so much like time to get your information across when you're scrolling in your Facebook feed. So you want to make your text legible. Again, also avoid extremely thin and bold fonts in your ads. When it's really thin, it's really hard to read. You don't want to have anyone like kind of like squinting while they're looking at your ad. And also the F pattern. You'll see this in a lot of like websites and also like ads. Again, you can see the F pattern here, right? You see the text, the F. Again here, you kind of see an F pattern, right? I mean, I didn't design this, but you can see where it kind of takes, you'll see it universally. Awesome. All right, so going back to earlier, a lot of people have questions on how do you pass the Facebook text overlay test? A lot of times, you create an ad, you go to the Facebook text overlay test on Facebook, and you don't pass it, and it's really frustrating. But here are some tips on that. All right, so one of the most common pains in creating Facebook ads is not passing a 20% rule, right? And having too much text. Like what I recommend is to go native and use that tool from Facebook. So here's a link that I used earlier on passing the ad that we created on Really That. I recommend using the native test versus other websites offer the text overlay tool, mainly because like Facebook is the company that approves your ad, and they ultimately their AI decides like if they should run your ad or not. So what you want to do is use Facebook's tool to ultimately like approve your ads. So you want to use their tool. You don't use anyone else because Facebook will and ultimately decides if your ad will kind of distribute to your audience or not. So again, like even if you think like the creatives will pass, it won't. Earlier on the design that we created, and the webinar links, oh, we don't have it here anymore, but I believe, yeah, on the ad that I created earlier, it occupied about like a little bit over than 5 squares. And you may think like, oh, it's not gonna pass, but you wanna make sure that you use it, use this tool, and then make sure that it does approve it. All right, so again, always use the grid as a guide, right? But then you could also break it. So again, like I said, we occupied about 6 spaces earlier and then it passed. There's a reason for that. All right, so how do you pass it? So here's a little bit of the secret sauces that I've been using, especially creating the ads. Obviously having the text occupy less than 20% of your ad. But you'll see here that if I did place a text overlay on this, give me a second, let me pull up a grid that I have on here. See, if I had give me a second, guys. I'm just pulling up a grid that I have created. So here's a grid that I have created. I mean, if I had Relay That's tool here, it would be really helpful, like right away. But if I place this grid overlay tool here, I have this as PNG, and then you'll see here that I occupy more than 6, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So how did I pass that, right? How did I pass the 20% rule? One of the tips here is that placing images like on a screen usually helps out. It avoids like it avoids like being rejected by Facebook. Their AI can't detect it yet. Thankfully they can't, but you'll see here that there's a text on the logos, the click-minded cloud app, right? And then if I put this on Relay That, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, and then there's text on here as well, and then it passed. So if you place objects into a laptop or notebook or a mobile device, usually Facebook won't be able to catch it. The Facebook AI isn't that smart yet. Maybe it is that smart, but then you're okay with it. They'll let you go. Yeah, so manual reviews we've done a few times, and as long as you, again, like you stick within the 5 squares, you should be okay. All right, so like I said earlier, to avoid the to pass the Facebook 20% rule,